Why do you love making mistakes?
I think mistakes make amazing stories. If I'm ever in a horrible place or I made a huge mistake, I'll instantly just grasp for some comedy of the moment because you might as well use it, you know. I think a lot of drama too comes from laughing about mistakes. You know, I think good log lines come from laughing about mistakes. My favorite like log lines from movies are ones where you have the air blow through your nose. You know, you read it and you go, you know. So I love mistakes. I try to embrace them.
I think we have a quote here. And sorry to quote you. I know it's kind of
No
weird, but
worries.
okay, here we go. So we have a quote here. I learned that when I throw myself into the fire, and if I don't feel the heat, I've failed. Comfort is the death of progress. That's pretty brilliant. Wow, I like that.
I sound like a dictator.
No, well, okay, but I mean, I get what you're talking about because if you're just comfortable all the time, you're not growing, you're not doing anything, you're kind of staying stagnant.
Yeah.
Can you give us examples of how you've made yourself either purposely uncomfortable or life has thrown you into those circumstances?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like this probably came from moving around in my life a lot, like moving to different countries and locations and schools all the time. It started as schools, then it was cities, then countries, and then careers. At one point I wanted to be a pro snowboarder, you know, and then I moved to the desert with my mom, and I was like, well, so much for that. But yeah, I think moving around a lot teaches you to reinvent yourself, teaches you, makes you really look at yourself. You know, you get this opportunity to redefine every part of you, really. And I think that has taught me that that can be a very powerful thing with art too. You know, I think, like I mentioned, playing music a little bit. That's been a good outlet for me to come back to the movies I make and really look at them in a different way. And that goes with acting, that goes with writing, that goes with producing, that goes with directing, editing. And that's why I love doing all those things, because they all inform each other. And when you're struggling with one, you can always focus on another one that can inform, you know, what you were struggling with. So yeah, if there's any opportunity to throw yourself in the fire, I mean, you can't get burned, so you got to be careful, and you got to have people around you who tell you to chill out, or just have a great team of people you can collaborate with. But I think it's a healthy thing for an artist.
How many times were you the new kid in class?
Oh man, it'd be interesting to count. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So man, I was probably the new kid in class like 7 times before I like graduated high school, and by class I mean like school,
Wow.
or maybe more. Yeah, I think like 9 maybe actually. Now that I think of it. But yeah, I always thought there was like a problem with me, like when I was going to high school specifically. But I mean, even from elementary school, I remember telling my mom, I was like, I think I'm dyslexic. I think I'm dyslexic. And I guess there's like tests for it, or the teachers would like comment on what they think about it. They just send me to like a counselor. They're like, no, you're not. There's nothing wrong with you. And I was like, dang it. Like, there's nothing wrong with me. And then I just realized I don't like school, and school had no outlet for me to learn what I love doing. The only thing I ever found that had information that I really grasped onto and took and used in my real life is YouTube. Like when I was like 11 or something, I think YouTube just became a thing back then, and that's how I learned how to edit, and that I started watching little scenes of movies that I like bootleg uploaded to YouTube, and I'd watch that, and that was where I learned everything. I've even seen your guys' videos, by the way. I didn't even mention this, but I watched a few Film Courage videos in pre-production of My Dead Dad.
Oh, wow.
And that's amazing to me. That's amazing that you can be a kid in the Middle East, you know, and know not a single filmmaker, and yet know all the filmmakers and take something from that.
Wow, very cool. Well, thank you. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was wondering though if that actually helps you, that uncomfortable, it's always uncomfortable going to a new school or having to go to, high school and you're the freshman and you don't know anyone. But if you've done that, let's say more than 5 times, I wonder if that's actually helped you with auditions, because how uncomfortable is it to go into a room with a bunch of other people reading sides and they're all up for the same part and hey, how's it going? But everybody's there for, they're your competition. But you've been through that. I just thought that was interesting. Maybe it's helped.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is interesting. I definitely think moving schools has helped me in many facets of my life. I like to think I'm semi-cognizant in human communication. I said that like a robot, so maybe not. But moving schools is definitely kind of like auditioning for different groups of people. And even if you've never moved in a school, like moved into high school from middle school, like that's a different group of people instantly, and I think the greatest thing I ever learned in school was just how to communicate and watch people. And I think by moving so many times, that definitely helps with that. Absolutely. And maybe there's like an aspect of moving too, where especially moving different countries, you're kind of the weird kid already, just by like default. I mean, it's funny, by like moving to Peru, for example, I'm Peruvian, but I don't look Peruvian. So being the white kid there is technically the minority, if you can say that, in Peru. So it instantly gave me a different perspective that I would have never gotten just living in Seattle. And I think because of that, I was okay with being a little weird, or myself, really. And the older I get, and the more I do this movie making stuff, is that I realize that's the only thing you really have to offer. Like your weirdness, you. So even now, I've had friends of friends or friends of girls I was dating, be like, "You're weird, dude." And I used to be like, "What?" And now I'm kind of like, nice, that's good. Okay, I'm being myself. Like, I like that. And maybe I'm leaning into it too much now, but I just feel like you get in so many more interesting conversations and come up with movie ideas and you don't start molding yourself into this thing that you're not. And then when you make movies, then you're making movies that aren't you, and that's not authentic, and everyone can pick up on that. So,
right,
yeah, that was
no, I love that.
Whole rant, but yeah.
What about the horrible word of sellout? What does that conjure up? Because I know a lot of people that are very authentic and relish in their weirdness, for lack of a better term. I think they're afraid of the word sellout, because then that means being sort of this corporate thing. But sometimes you have to be a sellout, I think. Yeah.
I think being a sellout is doing something. I think being a sellout is getting behind something that you don't believe in, like on a deeper level. You know what I mean? I mean, like, I've done plenty of jobs that I am like, about. But at the time, it was right for me to do because I needed to learn certain things. And it was just another challenge, really. So I think you can be more fortunate the longer you stick around in this business, and you can choose the skirt around sellout feeling things a little bit more. But I don't really, it's funny, I haven't heard that word in forever because like...
I think I'm dating myself.
And and it's also just because like, I think I'm working with more pros these days, you know what I mean? Who kind of understand like, hey, like this is not a genre or a thing that I'm like naturally drawn to, but you know what? I could really make it better because I see it this way, and it's a creative challenge almost. And also I have a family and kids and a mortgage. But yeah, once you start I think once you start bringing that energy back into your own stuff that is supposed to be the passion project kind of movies or whatever it may be, that's where you're starting to get into trouble. Like I've even had conversations or brainstorming sessions with collaborators of mine who we've come up with an idea and we're like, oh, that's cool. And oh, that would work really well right now because of this, or like people would like that, and then we're like, hold on, like, do we like that? No, never mind, So it really depends on the context. I feel like the word sellout to me.
Did that come up at all with your first feature film, My Dead Dad? Where there was something where you're like, you know what, that'd be too corporate or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
you did? Okay.
No, absolutely. And making your first feature is like, can be hell. And it's like a miracle that like you get through it. So you do sometimes have to compromise on small things, and you really have to put your foot down at other times and be like, this is where it stops, like we're maintaining this vision, like we want to shoot with 2 cameras, like that's what we're going to do, or we're not going to make this, we're not going to cater to like a TV network to change the title or whatever. Like people either hated the title or love the title. And maybe talk to me in 8 months when the movie's public. You'll be like, it wasn't called My Dead Dad. But I will say that, those are one of those things. I was really insistent, at least, keeping it through the festival run of being like, no, this is like the title. Like some people hate it. Some people love it. Everyone definitely double takes at it. And it's representative of the movie, Of course, we wanted to shoot on film originally,
Oh, wow.
Like that is that's I guess a compromise we made. We shot on 2 digital cameras, but we didn't compromise on our color to make it look like film. So it's the ebb and flow for sure.
If I saw that title on Netflix in suggestive, I would definitely click on it just to see what the logline was. No, so
awesome.
It does work.
Yeah, I hope so.
For me at least, but yeah. So people thought maybe it was too off-putting, the title?
Yeah, there was times where people were like, well, it's such a personal title to where depending on how you feel about the world or your parents, you're gonna get a different reaction. Because My Dead Dad, some people have been like, oh my God, that's so dark, or, whatever. And other people have been like, ha, so it's like a comedy, or
Yeah, you're right. It's a feel-good, family drama.
And I kind of love it because it describes our movie pretty well, where it's got some heavy moments, but it's also got some moments where you're like, what? Like 2 guys hanging out talking about, like, like you just got to watch the movie.
Okay,
right?
Right.
But funny moments nonetheless.
Sure.
Yeah.
Guys being guys.
Yes, guys being guys.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's another one too. There was a lot of pages in the script where some of it just came from real life conversations, just conversations that you would have alone with, your close friends. And we got notes on certain stuff and we just kept them. The great thing about like shooting is that there's always the editing of it and you get to rewrite everything anyway. So when anyone ever gives you such like a do or die script note, I'm just like, no, like if you believe in it, just keep it in. Like you can always decide later. That's the beauty and the difference between like doing something live and shooting and cutting it, and it's a whole process. So stay true to your script, all right?
And don't worry, women are just as bad when they're together. So.
Oh, I know.
We pretend we're not, but it may be even worse. So.
Yes, I've eavesdropped
yes,
into some ex-girlfriend conversations. I'm like,